Making sure you possess adequate strength and stability around the core is so important. And it's one of those things that I don't even have to really preach to you or sell you on. We all know we need to have this strong and stable midsection. But oftentimes we always go to these traditional core exercises that strengthen the abdominals or extend the spine without really digging deep and looking at the role of the diaphragm to breathe and also stabilize the spine. Okay, it has two different functions. We always jump to the stabilizing function without really making sure we can breathe and stabilize simultaneously. Again, there are going to be some points where you're lifting a very heavy load, you're doing an activity that is very challenging for you, that your body is going to decide, okay, am I going to breathe or am I going to stabilize? I'm going to breathe, right? I need to stay alive. Breathing is the most important function of the diaphragm. So making sure we incorporate some kind of diaphragmatic breathing and core stability simultaneously within your program can help improve your body's ability to do both of those things at the same time without losing that stabilizing or stabilization role, okay? So what I want to show you today is just a few basic exercises on how to look at the diaphragm from a breathing standpoint, which I think a lot of people are missing. We're going to core stability too often without tying in breathing to these exercises. And then how can we layer stabilizing or stabilization exercises on top of that to really use the diaphragm through both its roles, breathing and stabilizing, okay? So first thing we're gonna do is just work on regular diaphragmatic breathing, okay? So let me slide this out for a second. Through breathing, if we start on the ground here, biggest things we wanna look at are position of the rib cage, position of the pelvis, and then kind of in turn there, the spine, you'll notice will start to change its position if we alter the rib cage or the pelvis. But I want you just to evaluate as you lay on the ground here, what position is your rib cage in? Are we in more of a open or flared position? You can see how my rib cage is open. There's kind of this stretched out abdominal, rectus abdominis here in the middle. My ribs are open and wide. Or are you in a position where that rib cage is more pulled down? Because we want to be in this position somewhere right in the middle where we're not flared, we're not overly compressed. It's kind of the middle ground between a deep breath and a full exhalation. So that's exactly how we're going to retrain that, is if we use breathing to breathe in through the nose and exhale. As you exhale, what you'll notice is you need to allow that rib cage to pull down. If you're exhaling and you're breathing more through the chest, that rib cage won't move at all, right? That rib cage is always going to stay stuck in this rigid, flared position. So that's your first goal if you're in a flared position, is breathe. Use my hands a little bit to support. Start to compress and allow that rib cage to pull down, okay? So for some of you, that might be where you end here for today, is working on getting that rib cage to compress down into more of a inspiratory pattern, or as you exhale, okay? So once we get that, exhale. Again, want to lightly activate the abdominals here as little as possible, because the abdominals are going to hold that rib cage down. And then I want to continue to breathe. Again, once I get that rib cage down, now I'm going to really monitor, where is my breath coming from? Am I breathing throughout the chest? Are my shoulders raising up, which is the pattern we want to get out of? Or am I breathing right around this lower rib cage and abdominal area? So to monitor that, all we need to do here is find you feel these bony prominences through the front of the hip. They're called the ASIS. What we're going to do here is just slide in and then up a little bit. So we're just below the belly button, but we're wider on both sides. And then what I'm going to do here, as I feel in that space, is I'm going to breathe. And then exhale. I want to see, is there pressure pushing out into my fingertips, okay? Am I breathing throughout this abdominal wall, or is it only coming from my chest? I want an equal breath. Again, I don't want just a belly breath. My chest is actually going to expand as well, out, not up, but I should also be breathing out into the abdominal area. So that's going to monitor that. And if you have trouble with that, that's where you stop. Another important thing is, as you fully exhale, are you able to maintain pressure throughout this canister, okay? So are we keeping intra-abdominal pressure, or do we breathe in breathe out, push against our fingers, but then as we breathe back in, it almost becomes mush again. We push right through and there's no maintained or sustained pressure in the canister. Okay, so that's just a simple way to look at where is your body breathing from? Are you using the diaphragm and breathing into this abdominal area, or are you only chest breathing? From there, we can look at the sides. Okay, we want 360-degree expansion, so we want to breathe around the entire rib cage, entire abdominal area, not just one or the other, not just in one direction. So what I'm going to do here is press my fingertips into my side, even slightly towards the back, and then same thing, breathe. Again, are we maintaining abdominal activity? Are we not allowing our fingers to push straight through? And are we expanding as we start to breathe in? Are we expanding into that lateral abdominal wall? Is there a difference from one side to the other side? Because if there is, we're going to have to focus on, can I work on maybe being in a different position and work into that side of that abdominal wall if it's not equal 360-degree expansion? So that's really the starting point on improving diaphragmatic breathing. Then from there, we really need to start to challenge, again, perfect those first, challenge the stabilization aspect as we continue to use that breath. So during that, we should make sure no rib flare. Ribs are not opened up. Ribs start to compress down, which we'll notice will flatten the lower back towards the ground. So we're going to feel that back is flat. We'll feel the sacrum. We'll feel the rib cage pull down. I'm breathing around the entire abdominal area. I'm not just breathing out into the chest. I'm breathing equally chest, 360 degrees around, abdominal area, 360 degrees around. This is what's helping us fully use the diaphragm, activate that pelvic floor, and breathe properly. Okay, from there, let's add in the stabilization aspect with a little challenge. So we're gonna go up into this 90-90 position. Okay, so what we're gonna do with this position is breathe first, again, get the breath down, bring your heels a little bit closer together. Your knees can relax out a little bit so our hips are in a little more of an internally rotated position. And actually, let's actually bring the arms up on this one. So this is more mimicking the baby in its 3-month position. So we're going to go in through the nose. Exhale. Always like to use that first exhale to reinforce proper positioning at the rib cage. So really nice and easy. Pull that rib cage down. Abdominals will fire just to hold that position so we're not flaring. Then from there, same thing. We're going to go back to monitoring just inside the ASIS, just to the lateral abdominal wall. Okay? We're going to make sure we have those basics first. Okay? From there, we're going to just slightly reduce the weight of our feet into the bench. So I'm not going to lift up here all of a sudden. I'm just going to slowly, as I continue to breathe, slowly lift my feet off the bench. Well, you'll notice, and you can probably hear in my breath, this becomes a little more challenging now. It's challenging to maintain your breathing, the use of the diaphragm in that proper position through this canister as you start to require that core and that diaphragm to stabilize a little bit more. Okay, so I'm gonna just nice and easy try to, without lifting my legs, I'm gonna try to lift my knees up. You can see it's almost like my lower back is starting to push in the ground. I'm starting to fire or feel more of the top of the sacrum and right here just between the hips into the floor. So I'm gonna breathe still. Lift my knees up higher towards the ceiling vertically. As now I feel my back is in a good contact with the floor. My sacrum is pushing into the floor. My rib cage are pulled down. I'm really promoting this good positioning throughout this canister, throughout the core section. Okay? So you're going to work on about 5 to 10 breaths maintaining that position. If you notice you have trouble with that, that is the place you stop. You work on those basics about maintaining the proper position, and then you start to go on lifting the feet off and driving the knees up towards the ceiling, okay, while maintaining good breathing and good stabilization at the same time. Okay? From there, if you get that down, our next step is now to throw core stability exercises on top of that. Again, technically that was a core stability exercise, just breathing and maintaining the legs up, because we have to fire to support the spine in the pelvis. But now, do we need to make that a little bit more challenging? Because oftentimes we always go to these core stability exercises without prepping and mastering these basics of breathing and stabilization simultaneously. Okay, so from here, always set up, again, same checklist. Deep breath, exhale, rib cage down, legs up, breathing front side, side, back, 360 degrees. So I'm getting every single thing. So it's gonna take me a few seconds to set up properly. And then from here, can I go into more of a marching motion? Okay, or can I hold up and then maintain and go into more of an overhead lift? Again, I'm always maintaining my breath throughout this. Obviously hard for me to demonstrate if I'm talking through it, but can I do that? And then last step, the dead bug exercise. Can I maintain my breathing as I go opposite arm and opposite leg? What you'll notice is, for those of you especially who have done the dead bug time and time again, it could be a staple within your program, adding this breathing, making sure you're in a good position, rib cage, spine, pelvis, that exercise will become twice as challenging. Because oftentimes we use that exercise as a stability exercise. We don't really focus on diaphragmatic breathing throughout that entire exercise. We should be, okay? So taking a step back, working on these basics, and really inputting these into your core stability exercises, you'll notice it'll be a lot more challenging, a lot more shaky, and hard to maintain your breath with the stability. So I really want to make sure, want you to audit your program. What core exercises are you doing right now? Input the breathing. If you notice you get to a point where you cannot breathe and stabilize simultaneously, take a step back, regress that movement to something that's a little easier, a little less challenging, and try to breathe as you stabilize. This is going to be a very important thing moving forward to make sure you're in a good centrated position within this canister right here. You're breathing properly the entire time, and you're also using the diaphragm to help stabilize the spine. So I know I threw a lot at you right there. Let me know if you have any kind of questions at all. This is a very important topic. Something recently went into when I went to a course, the DNS course, which looked at dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, the role of the diaphragm in movement and stability. So let me know, shoot me a message if you have any questions. Love to walk you through, or maybe fine tune the few areas where you feel like you're getting stuck or not understanding. Reach out to me, shoot me an email, give me a call, and I'd love to help you a little bit more. Thank you.